Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
ECSI fans, do you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll with Julian Edlow from DraftKings DK SportsBook for Thursday, November 9th, 2023. Shout out to the gentleman behind the glass, Joe Lewis, Joseph Shea, Evan Lewis, Kate Horton, Olu, and Bennett, and of course, our new partnership and sponsor, WagerWire. If you have not downloaded the app, please go to Google Play or wherever you download your apps. Download it. It's free. WagerWire, one word. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Evan. Who else? Let's say Zach, Travis, the rest of their team will take good care of you. But today, it's all about Julian Edlow. It's all about the locals. It's about the DK SportsBook. So without further ado, let's bring him in, the one and only Mr. Julian Edlow.
Morning, Jeff. How we doing?
We're doing great. I woke up this morning. It's raining on the Cape. I assume it's raining in Boston. The Celtics in second place in the Atlantic. Losers of 2 in a row. Thoughts of the 2-game losing streak? Thoughts of last night's game?
Yeah, I don't have too much cause for concern with it. They lost to 2 good teams on the road, and teams are going to get up to play them. And I think specifically these 2 teams. Minnesota just beat Denver at home. They're trying to make a statement that, they can be a contender in the West. And, they've been the best defensive team in the NBA. I think that game meant a lot to them. And then you go to Philly. This is a team that Boston consistently beats. I think they have a breath of fresh air with Harden out the door. You're going to feature Maxey more. Embiid's still the guy. You got better pieces around them. And a game that they got up for. Last game of a road trip for the Celtics. You're coming home on Friday night for their first weird tournament game. Derek White back in the lineup after being away for the birth of a child. Just a lot of moving parts. You're on the road playing good teams. And you had a couple narrow losses. A loss in overtime and a loss where you had a shot in the air to go to overtime against Philly. And they shot really poorly. So, when a team is losing by, a basket and you're shooting poorly, it shows you that on nights they shoot okay, they're going to be fine, and they can even on their worst nights, battle into games. So I'm really not all that concerned about these 2 losses. I think they'll be fine moving forward.
I talked to you backstage briefly today, and I think I'm the president of the Jaylen Brown fan club, and when you sign a Supermax contract, it's he can't win. In other words, even if he goes, 11 for 12 and he goes and puts up 38 and gets a triple double, and then he has a couple bad games, it's going to be, why did we pay this guy so much money? As you watch him fumble, trying to dribble with his left hand. And I talked about Pritchard. The Celtics let a few people go, and basically Pritchard was one of those guys that was yapping about his playing time. Well, now he has the opportunity to play, struggling out of the gate. Any concern for Pritchard? Any concern for the chirping that you're going to hear from the Jaylen Brown in the contract?
I mean, unless Jaylen Brown, if you're going to say he has the most expensive contract in the NBA, unless he made like first team All NBA, there's still going to be people chirping about the contract. And to the people that chirp it, the two things that I say are, one, just wait 2 years from now and it's not going to be a bad contract. We've had so many of these deals in the NBA, they get all this attention. And then a couple years down the line, we're talking about other people and that contract just kind of falls into the mix. So this isn't going to be an awful contract. And number two, what would you have preferred the Celtics do? Would you have preferred them to trade Brown for pennies on the dollar last summer when he's in the last year of a contract? Because that's the only alternative. If you re-sign him, you keep open the options to A, he keeps improving every year throughout his career as he had up until signing the contract, or B, when you're eligible, after he plays here 2 more years, you can still move him if things haven't worked out by then. Like I said, in 2 years, the contract would be much more average when you look around the NBA and decide then we still have Porzingis and Tatum. We want to move Brown for this player to see if it works this way, if the Celtics still haven't won by then. So Jaylen Brown, I just don't see what your alternatives are other than what do you want to let a number 3 overall pick that becomes second team All NBA walk out the door? No. So I'm fine with that. It is what it is. Brown can be the third best player on this team as the highest paid player or with the largest contract in the NBA, and they can still win. I don't really care how that part works. With Pritchard, yeah, it's your 7th, 8th man. You're going to have good nights, bad nights. He'll be what he will be. So the Celtics don't go as Peyton Pritchard goes. But, you know, if he wants to come in and hit some timely shots in some bigger regular season games, that would be nice. But you're also going to have games where your 7th, 8th man comes in and doesn't play well because that's how it works.
I will honestly and openly admit I don't know. I'm maybe hoping that you know. As this season progresses, you're going to hear about veteran leadership. You're going to, I'm not even getting all the way to the trade deadline in the NBA All-Star break there. But do the Celtics, as the season progresses, have any flexibility where they can bring someone in off the scrap heap that someone wants to get rid of, or maybe that one veteran piece that you think would bolster the lineup?
I assume so. But they've made a lot of moves. I don't think it would come via trade because I don't know who exactly they would trade. If somebody they really want becomes available, I'm sure they could attempt to figure it out. What I think this team is mostly set in stone, and what I think they'll try and do is when there are buyouts, look to add to the bench that route. Now, like they have a roster spot, like a guy like Danny Green becomes available in that Harden trade. He's out there and around. Guys like that, you know, like you just said, if Peyton Pritchard doesn't have it in the game, you have a guy like Danny Green instead. So names like that are in the buyout market or that, you know, are let go in part of a trade like a Harden trade and are then out there. They'll find 1, maybe 2 guys like that, I would assume, by mid-February, and that'll be the roster.
Lastly, on the NBA, before we switch gears, I haven't done a lot of talking about it. I think it's just an absolute money grab to have an in-game tournament starting 3 weeks into the regular season where you have NBA players making over $700,000 a game to get them inspired, to get them to play, I think is absolutely asinine. Can you give me your 2 cents on your thoughts on this in-game mid-season, preseason, whatever they're calling this stupid-ass tournament in the NBA?
The NBA in-season tournament, concluding in Las Vegas in early December. I don't really care one way or another. If they want to try it, it's fine. The games are still, you know, we're going to play games in late November and early December anyway. If you want to try to give them more meaning, that's fine. And the players probably will, care to a degree to get their money. So I don't care one way or another if they want to do it or not. And if they are going to do this route, we'll see how the first one goes. I will say, I think, the courts are much worse than the idea of the tournament. The courts hurt my eyes to look at. So I appreciate them trying to differentiate it, but find another way. Just going with different uniforms is fine with me. Put an in-season tournament patch on the shoulder, whatever. But, I am intrigued by the betting markets of it. I bet the Celtics to win their group, East Group C, I think it is. We'll see if it pans out, if they actually put more weight on these games or not. But I do think when we get to the semifinals and the finals in Vegas and they have all the bells and whistles, and I think the players will get a little more excited for it. And I think that'll get fans and viewers a little more excited for it. So I will say, let's see what it looks like, because even though it means absolutely nothing, people might find it fun once we finally get there. And I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything that can happen from this tournament that's going to alter how the ultimate goal of winning a championship pans out. Like, if Kristaps Porzingis hurts his knee in one of the tournament games, he probably would have hurt his knee on that Friday night game in December anyway. So I don't think there's anything that can really happen that would alter my opinion of the season, because it's an in-season tournament game.
And lastly, and of course, I don't root any ill fate, will, health, or anything on anyone. We talked at length the athleticism that Robert Williams brought to the table for the Celtics, and always in the back of your mind, we are going to go not as far, but he was a big part of protecting the rim. And if he was healthy, sounds like at least on the shelf for some time, if not season-ending surgery for Mr. Williams. So we're wishing him nothing but the best there. I want to jump on a plane, head over to Frankfurt. The 2-7 New England Patriots, coming off of a loss to the Washington Commanders. I think on a tweet Sunday around 4:20, I put Sam Howell greater than Mac Jones. I know it's not all on Mac, but an absolute dumpster fire. Give us your thoughts on Sunday's performance and expectations in Frankfurt against the Colts.
Yeah, I'm not betting a ton of NFL right now. It's hard to have a feel for. I did bet the Colts in this one. I think this is one of those spots. I don't think this is going to be like a rally spot. I think this is going to be a coming undone spot more for the Patriots. If there was a bounce back spot, probably would have been at home against Washington, coming off a loss in Miami. You're coming home. You're facing a team that just sold off their two best pass rushers that week, and you're playing a team that ranks 31st in passing defense against opposing quarterbacks. That was the Patriots' get right spot, and it wasn't there. Now you got guys being disciplined. You got guys not making the trip. You're going to go on Thursday. You're going to get to Germany on Friday. You're going to stay up and practice and do a walkthrough. I just don't see why they would be up for this game. Whereas the Colts are a solid little team that just keeps moving along. I'm not high or low on them or whatever. I just expect them to be solid enough. They don't have a good defense, but the Patriots offense is so god awful that I'm not expecting much there. So I do like the Colts in the Germany game. I just think they're playing for a little more right now.
Any chance, there's been some rumblings or whatever, but let's just play the game, Jules. Let's say the Patriots get shellacked 24-3. Any chance that they could pull the plug on Bill and give Mayo basically 7 games to see what they got, And then, there's been rumblings of Vrabel and yada, yada, yada. But any chance you think that could happen?
No, I don't think so. And it's like, give it to Vrabel. Like, what are they just going to call Vrabel in the middle of the season and be like, hey, come on over? Or have that in place, I mean, for next year. That would surprise me, and it would surprise me. I don't think Bill's getting fired or leaving in the middle of the season. I think it would be played out and handled in the off season. Frankly, I have no idea what they're gonna do coaching wise. It wouldn't surprise me. People are saying, is he gonna be fired in season this season? It wouldn't shock me at all if he's back next season. So could go any which way. I really have no feel for that. Not going to pretend I know what any of these reports, which ones are good, which ones are bad, true, false, whatever.
Before we jump into the kids in college football, Monday started the NCAA college basketball season. The defending champs, UConn Huskies, go out box to wire against not much. Just so I'm not here, duck boats and parades after one game. I will say what I'm hearing and seeing is that the Big East, top to bottom, is probably the toughest and best conference in the country this year, though Kansas is a wagon, and there's a bunch of other teams that we know are good. What have you seen so far in the first 3 days of college hoops, Jules?
Yeah, not a ton, because it's mostly, teams winning by 30, 40, 50 points. But yeah, the Big East is going to be very good. UConn, just in terms of the odds and how they played in Big East play last year, UConn would not be a bet for me there. I like Creighton, Marquette, and Villanova all more than UConn this year personally. I think Villanova is sneaky good. Everybody's talking about all the rest of them. They transferred in a lot of talent and kept Justin Moore and Dixon, the big guy. I think Villanova is going to be really good this year. Across the rest of the country, I mean, props to Auburn and Baylor for giving us the only head-to-head opening game between two good teams, and it went down to the wire. Baylor with a late comeback win. That was a really good game to watch. Best game of the night tonight is New Mexico and St. Mary's. I'm actually very high on both those teams, although I did take New Mexico plus 5.5 in this one. They have both Jamal Mashburn's son, one of the best scorers in the country, and they have Eddie House's son, one of the best shooters in the country. They're a pretty good team. St. Mary's wise, I'll give you a play. So I was on St. Mary's plus 130 to win the West Coast Conference before the season anyway. Aiden Mahaney is probably the best player in the conference. They return a bunch of talent. I think they did a good job in the transfer portal. And Gonzaga, just not a deep team this year. You lose Julian Straw, their first-round pick. Drew Timme, anchor of the program for years, gone. They just don't have those dudes this year, it seemed like. And then last night, we get that news from Jeff Goodman that Steele Venters, who transferred in from Eastern Washington, 6'7" wing, over 15 points per game, 37% from three. He's out for the season now for Gonzaga. So that was all I needed to push me over the edge to make St. Mary's plus 130 to win the West Coast Conference a pretty decent play. And, college basketball injury news doesn't trickle as quickly. That market hasn't moved at all. St. Mary's is still plus 130.
Any feel on the Arizona Duke game?
So I tweeted that out last night. Ken Palm has it 3. I was hoping to lay Duke 3. I'm just like this game tonight, New Mexico and St. Mary's, I'm really high on both teams. Wow, New Mexico's 6.5 now. What did I miss? 6. Okay, so New Mexico 6.5 tonight. I like that. We opened Duke -5 on DraftKings, and there's 5.5 in the market. So that's steeper than I thought. I don't know if I'm going to come back and play Arizona. I'm really high on both teams. The reason I wanted to lay Duke -3 is just this is at Cameron Indoor. This is a really hard road game early in the season. And I'm pretty level on both of these teams. So Lean Duke on the win, probably not playable at 5, but we'll see as it gets closer. It's going to be a really good game. We should learn a lot in that one.
Let's turn over to the kids in football. Another week of the committee going to do their job. Not much has flip-flopped between the top 4 and then the awaiting teams as Washington, Oregon, Alabama are perched waiting for a slip-up somewhere. Thoughts on last week's action, and what are you eyeing and seeing in this week's card?
Last week, let's see. I mean, Oregon keeps rolling. Big win by Alabama. They just keep getting done what they need to get done after that awful start. This week, I'm going to keep going with Oregon in a sense. Just the team total is 44.5. The first half is 23.5. They're at home. They're going against USC. They've got to win to, keep securing their place in the Pac-12 title game. They just dropped 60 whatever at home against Cal last week. They need the style points to make sure if they do win out and they're right there at the 4 or 5 line, hey, we've been scoring 60 every week, put us in. So and the USC defense, I know they fired Grinch, the defensive coordinator. That's not going to just magically, maybe they scheme it a little different, but like they can't tackle, they can't get stops. Like it's not going to make them good. This isn't one of those rallying, fire the coach and magically improve situations. So Oregon to score points this week is my favorite bet, just betting that team total over.
Shocked by Clemson last week and Notre Dame. And it was kind of funny, they had game day going on, and then there's 4 more guys out for Clemson, including Shipley. And yet they come out box to wire and really made a statement against Notre Dame and Hartman.
Yeah, I mean, I knew exactly what I was getting into with the public Notre Dame play, but guys just kept getting ruled out. My major takeaway, Clemson is not good. I was like, they'll still, I was talking to someone on Twitter that was saying how they were 6th or 7th in the nation in terms of red zone trips, but 100 and whatever in points, and that it's just bad luck. And my point was, I don't think it's bad luck. I think they can't take care of the ball. That proved true in the game. They had the fumble that went way backwards. They had an interception late to give another chance. Like, Clemson is really sloppy with the ball. Notre Dame just didn't capitalize on it. So my takeaway from there, I still feel the same way about Clemson. I just feel like a reminder to me, I needed to lose a little money to be reminded that you can't trust Notre Dame on the road. It's a home. I will only back Notre Dame at home moving forward this year, next year, whatever. Can't trust them on the road.
And what you're talking about, Clemson, is so true. We had Clemson team total early in the year at Duke. They fumbled twice on the 1, and then they also fumbled on the 7 as well. So there was 3 turnovers, 2 going in on the 1 and 1 on the 7. So I remember that real good, like it was yesterday. One game intriguing, Washington's been leaking oil, made a statement 52-42 last week at USC. Penix Jr. outshines Caleb Williams. We won't get into Caleb after the game in the stands crying with his mom. It is what it is there. Face a tough defense of Utah. Now, obviously, Utah can't go into Washington and score, 35 and try to keep up with Washington, but you can try to play keep away, play slow down. The best defense for them is their offense and keeping Penix Jr. off the field. Any chance that not only Utah covering this week, could they spring the upset in Washington?
I don't think they'll ultimately win. My opinion would be completely different if this game was in Utah, but I have a lot of Washington to win the Pac-12. I believe Oregon's going to win the Pac-12, so I've kind of shifted my weight, but I won't I'm not going to put this out as a play if you have no bets currently on the Pac-12, but I did take some Utah plus 10 just in case. And, I'm hoping Washington wins the game by 10 or less and gets through there. But I would lean under in the game if I'm making an isolated play on this game. I think what you said about Utah, they know the only way they can win. They're not going to go try and beat them like USC tried to beat them. So grind it out, run the ball, play defense. Washington's defense is better than people say, I believe. So under, is it at 53 still? Under 53 would probably be my look in that one.
I got a couple minutes because I know you're busy, Jules, and we can't thank you enough. A couple games on the NBA docket tonight. You said you haven't been doing a lot of NFL. Give us a couple plays that you got eyed up either today in college hoops, NBA, or later on this weekend, whether it's college football or NFL.
New Mexico plus 6.5 tonight in college hoops. I think Wisconsin is looking like they're going to open a short home dog to Tennessee. That's unranked versus 9th ranked Tennessee. Wisconsin is a veteran team, deep team. I like Wisconsin at home on Friday night. I was hoping to bet the Duke-Arizona game, but I don't know if the number is going to allow me. So that one afterwards, I'll have Wisconsin as a home dog against Tennessee. What was the other one? College football or NBA? What was the other one you asked?
College football for Saturday, or any NBA tonight, or anything you might have on Sunday in the NFL.
NBA might be a pass tonight. There's only 2 games. I will mention the Magic are home dogs to the Hawks. Orlando's been bad closing games out, but they are 7-0 against the first half spread this season. So if you're going to back Orlando in that game, I would look first half. College-wise, I mentioned the Oregon team total. The only other 2 things that I did bet for Saturday, 2 home teams. I bet Missouri at home against Tennessee. Tennessee rolled UConn last week. Most people think they're the better team. I like Missouri at home. I know they're coming off Georgia, a game they probably game planned a lot for. But I'm gonna go with the home team there, and then another home team in a gross game. Rutgers keeps taking money. Iowa is gonna make a defensive play, a special teams play. They'll figure it out. I'll take Iowa money line at home against Rutgers.
Scroller's been going the whole time. Everyone watching and listening, there's been a lot of you guys there. Please go over to Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it this morning. Go follow Julian at Julian Edlow. Find his work at DraftKings, at DK SportsBook, at DK Live. Of course, check out his podcast at Unreasonable Odd Podcast, Saturday and Sundays at 8 to 10 a.m. over on VSiN, Samsung, and wherever else. The Sweat. But as always, any promos for everyone to go download the DK Sportsbook match bonuses, whatever you got this week for the viewers and listeners.
Always the match, $200 in bonus bets if you're not signed up yet. We got the Thursday Night Football boost, 50% on whatever you want to bet on that game. We got the college football boost for the big Michigan-Penn State game, 50% boost for whatever you want to bet on that. Anything you want to parlay in the NFL on Sunday, 50% boost there. Let's see. Also, new customers, 20% bonus on your first deposit up to $1,000.
The one and only Julian Edlow. Can't thank you enough. You're crushing it. VSiN, BVB, you're here. The Sweat Saturday and Sunday. Keep trucking, and we'll catch up to you next week, Jules.
Cool. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
The one and only Julian Edlow at DK Sportsbook at DraftKings. Go catch him Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on VSiN, on Sportsbook. The Sweat. Great friend, great colleague, doing big things here for DraftKings. 1 o'clock, I will be a guest with Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk at McGinnis Picks, talking some NHL, some CFL, and whatever else he decides to go over. At 4 or 4:30ish, Riley Magnuson will be flying solo, doing the closing bell, as I will be stepping out of the office, taking care of a late lunch, celebrating something. I don't know. So I can't thank everyone here for watching and listening. Enjoy your morning. We will be back again at 1 o'clock here, and then, of course, at 4:30. So for myself, Jeff Dawson, ADC Sports Invest, from Julian Edlow, at DK SportsBook, at DraftKings. Wish everyone a great morning. A lot of action today, so we will be tweeting out some leans and stuff. Riley will come back around 4:30 with his leans and thought process as well. Stay tuned.